morning. I'm Jason from the Pet Funeral Services in Holywell, and we're here on a beautiful spring day. The daffodils are starting to poke through. We've got snowdrops and crocuses outside the chapel. So we've started thinking more about going out for longer walks with our pets in the countryside. So I'm here with Wilma and Gwenan. We're going to talk about how we might prepare for going out for a walk in the summer, and the things we might want to take with us to make sure that we can stay safe if we're away from civilization a little bit with our dogs. So Gwenan, you help us with canine first aid and stuff like that. So have you got any sort of particular things that you think are important when we go out, especially if we're out with our dogs in the deeper part of the countryside?
First of all, main thing to make sure we've got maybe a nice collar. A flat collar is usually ideal for most dogs. When we put it on, we just make sure it's not too tight and it's not too loose. So we've got Wilma here, we can put our 2 fingers underneath there, but also it's not going to come off over her ears. We've also got an identification tag on there, so I've actually got the vet's number on there as well. So if she was to go missing, somebody will be able to contact me straight away. What
sort of information do you feel is important to go on a dog tag?
Well, the most important thing is actually a telephone number. So, everybody has a mobile phone these days. So if you've got your mobile number on there, somebody can give you a call straight away. But actually the law states that you should have your address on there, which and doesn't actually stipulate that you should have your telephone number. But I also like to have the vet's number on there as well. So, if she was to, heaven forbid, go missing and she was to get hurt, somebody could contact the vet and get her there straight away.
Well, dogs off the lead can be startled and run away at any time.
Yeah.
I mean, some people say that maybe you shouldn't put the dog's name on the tag or anything like that.
Just for security, really. Also now all dogs need to be microchipped. It's actually a law that they have to be microchipped. So it's important to make sure those details are all up to date. There's no point them phoning the microchip guys and you haven't even got the correct telephone number or address or anything on there. So if you move house or you change your phone, always make sure that you're correct.
Of course. We all like to let our dogs off the lead, to give them proper exercise and let them have their own sort of private sniffs and things like that. The idea that it can't happen to you, my dog will always come back and all that. I think we all need to be mindful
that and teach a good recall. So I always like to use a whistle. So if you're feeling a little bit anxious that your dog's gone a little bit further and you start to get a bit cross and you're shouting a little bit angry, then the dog's going to go, actually I'm not going back, they sound a bit cross. But by using a whistle, it cuts through a lot of noise and it's always consistently the same, and I find it's a really good way of training them to come back on a recall.
So as well as, obviously we have our dog under control with a good collar, and we like say you recommend having a whistle or at least a specific recall. So that you can have effectively a metaphysical lead with your dog. So and I always feel that. I mean, whenever I was walking Alfie, I'd always carry his lead, and he always got the message that when I was carrying the lead, we were on a walk. Whereas if I wasn't carrying the lead, we were just
pottering.
Yes, and if I carried the lead, he stayed in contact with me, and he's one of those dogs who would, being a spaniel, he'd come back to check if it was okay.
Checking in. Yeah. It's always important just to reinforce that it's really good for them to check in. Stop the dog realising that, knowing that you're still there. Is there anything else specific that people might not think that they need to take with them that you'd recommend? What I always say to people is tell people where you're going. Everybody has one of these, so if you get into trouble, you can always phone, but you can also use an app that's called What's 3 Words, and that's really good. So if you need to tell somebody where you are, you can just open the app and you can just call somebody and say, I'm at these 3 words, and you can find them. I walk quite a lot in the Clocaenog forest, and
I couldn't tell you where I am a lot of the time, which
Yeah.
track to go down and which specific area I'm in. So by using that, somebody can find you to a very a close location.
Yeah, we like
I
what
like
three
to use
words
that.
as well. We find it a really helpful resource for finding all sorts of places in remote areas. Having that specific 3-word address.
Oh, definitely.
We'll put a link of that in the description so that people can find that out for themselves.
Yeah, so I find that's really useful. And telling someone where you've gone. So if you're going for a walk, just say, "Oh, I'm popping out for a walk. I might be an hour."
So people know if
I've
you're
gone,
missing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's always good advice as well. Obviously, we don't want to be leaving a lot of mess behind, so always take your poo bags with you. And also, it's not always easy to find a bin, to be honest.
Yeah.
And carrying your poo in a bag isn't particularly pleasant. So something like this, where you actually can put your bag inside there, you just seal it up. There's no smells, and you don't have to worry about it for the rest of your walk.
That's really good,
Take that
that.
home with you, and you just tip it out into the dustbin.
Yeah, a little pup pouch. I like that.
Yeah, just to be a responsible dog owner. That's all it is, really. Something else you might want to think, if there's no running water or fresh water where you're going, take some water with you for yourself and for your dog. You know, that's always sort of part of the course, especially now as it's getting warmer. You know, we're still in February. It's feeling quite warm out here today.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
lovely.
You know, sat in shirt sleeves in
Yeah.
February in North Wales. It's you know,
Yeah, so-
and again feeling Wilma here, where the sun's on her. She's really
She's absorbing the heat. She's loving it.
she is. She does seem to be enjoying it. So yeah, you know, we should be able to get overheated really quickly.
Yeah. So taking water with you is super important. You might want to take a little first aid kit with you, just so that you've got some basic things. So if something goes wrong, you've got that with you.
Well, that's. Is there things that you'd put in a canine first aid kit that you wouldn't have in a human first aid
Quite
kit?
a lot of it actually does overlap, and I quite often will put some things in there for the children.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a lot of it is very similar. So you know, it's really useful to have some of those things with you, things like your dressings and bandages, just in case something goes wrong, and you can just make sure you're giving the right care until you can take your dog to the vet.
Lovely, lovely. So I see you've got a few other things that you.
We've got
Are these your everyday carries? As they say, your EDC.
These are the kind of things I have in the car. If I'm going for a walk, I'm like, oh, I'll take that with me. Depends how far we're going.
Yeah, so
you know, depends.
you'll take them with you maybe in the car to where you're going.
Yeah, and if we're going for a bit of a longer walk, I'll take, you know, different things. Obviously today it's really sunny, but if we were going maybe on a different day, I'd make sure I take a waterproof with me. So with treats, Wilma really likes to bring some treats with on the walk, and of course it helps with the recall and when they come to check in.
She can't help that, she's a Labrador.
She can't help being a Labrador, but you can give her one now if you'd like.
Oh, always, always. You have to do something for a treat though. Sit. Are you going to sit? Well, no.
She's going to show me up now.
No, you're a good girl.
Oh, you like those. So taking a few treats and doing a bit of training on your walk, it's always a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, again, the walking for dogs is less about exercise and more about stimulation. And when we're out on a walk and they're experiencing the new smells and reading the newspaper, as I call it, as they go along.
Sniff along.
Yeah, it's a great time to try and get them, because they're concentrating and their brain is working. It's a great time to do those things like your recall.
And it's nice to make sure that you give your dog opportunity to do that. So especially if you've got something like a spaniel, they just love to use their noses, and give them that sort of natural outlet to use their nose, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we're talking here outside in the sunshine, but if you're working, you might be out at dawn, dusk, even after dark. So,
well, in the winter, a lot of people don't get to walk their dog in the daylight.
So think about your high vis. We've got a little bib thing there that could go around Wilma's neck, and a high vis vest there. So
is that for you or Wilma?
That would be for me, that one. So especially if you're going somewhere where there's traffic, high population areas, always think about whether people could see you if you're walking along a road. Especially Wilma here's black, it'd be quite hard to see her.
Yeah.
And my trusty faithful head torch as well, so you can be seen.
Yeah, as much to be about being seen than seeing yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, excellent.
So I think that is sort of my basic kit, if you like, for getting out and about with your dog.
Excellent. Thanks very much. So it's been another beautiful day here at the cemetery. We're going to have a little walk around and see if Wilma wants to do some recall training with Jason.